The next way to create texture is to stitch around the post. This is the post of the stitch down here. This creates a raised texture. The first way we'll stitch around the post is to do a front post stitch. We'll be doing a front post double crochet. Here's my swatch again. It's 10 stitches wide and 3 rows. And I've done my turning chain for the 4th row. And in this next stitch, we're going to do the front post double crochet. So we're going to wrap around. To do the front post, instead of stitching into the V like we do on regular stitches, we're going to do our double crochet around the post down here. Wrap your yarn around your hook like we've done, and then insert your hook around the post from right to left, or left to right if you're lefty. Now you just complete the double crochet stitch. So wrap around and pull through around the post, and then finish the double crochet. So see how that kind of raised, it popped the stitch up over on top of the stitch. Now I'm going to just do this in a couple of stitches afterwards. Usually this technique isn't done in every stitch, just where it needs a textured stitch to pop up. So sometimes you'll do like a front post and then stitch regularly and do another front post to just add little bumps on your piece. They don't show up as well if you do a front post stitch on every row, but we're just going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to stitch around right to left or left to right if you're a lefty, and then pull through and finish the double crochet stitch. So it's much more raised. You can see the back there where we skipped the stitch. Something to remember about this stitch is that if you are doing the stitch and then trying to stitch next to it, this stitch is a lot shorter because we're starting the stitch down here. We're not starting the stitch in the place that we normally do a stitch. So it's a little bit shorter than an actual double crochet would be. So if you're wanting to do a row of these where you make the front post double crochet, and then the next stitch you wanted to do another stitch, you would probably want to do a stitch shorter than the double crochet just to make them line up well. You could still do double crochet, but it just looks better if you do like a half double crochet in this next stitch, because it's going to be the proper height as the front post double crochet that you did. So you just want to remember, if you are doing this and you're not reading a pattern, that the front post stitch will be 1 stitch shorter than the stitch that you're making in the front post. So if you're making a front post treble stitch, you want to put a double crochet next to it, because that will make the row the even height. Knowing this will help keep your row nice and straight whenever you're starting to do it. And I've done a little swatch here of, this is where I went and did 1 row of double crochet. It starts on this side, 1 row of double crochet, and then on this row I did 1 half double crochet, and then I did the raised stitch here, and then I did 2 half double crochets, and then a double crochet front post stitch here, and then 2 half double crochets and another front post double crochet here. So that kind of added a little texture to it. And then on this row I just did another row of double crochets, and then on this one I did the same thing to add these little bumps here. So I added all the bumps to the same side. So that's what the back looks like whenever you do it. And then it just adds this nice little texture to it. So that's the one with texture. And then here's the regular double crochet piece, so you can kind of see the difference. Can you see the texture there? You can kind of see where the bumps are raised, and then this is just flat. So that's how you do the front post double crochet. All the other stitches are the same. You just go around the post instead of going into the V at the top.